Hello, and welcome to Inches and Cubes, a Warhammer 40k podcast presented by Encounter Wargaming. Our fearless hosts are me, Paul Mr. Fist Fowler,
Point and click Nick Kozlo,
and
Adam Truax, the truest axe to ever axe an axe.
And we'll be guiding you through our favorite parts of the hobby, so grab your cubes and come with us.
Welcome back to episode 2 of Inches and Cubes, and we are going to continue our journey into 8th edition of 40k. If you missed the last episode, which is actually our first episode, go back and check it out. We recap the movement phase, the shooting phase, and the 2 combat phases, both charge and fight. So in this episode, we are going to cover our hobby progress again. That's our building and painting that we've done over the past week or two, the games that we've played as well, and then jump into our main topic. This week's main topic is again on 8th edition, the psychic phase, morale, and we're going to cover large models, infantry, and characters today. And then lastly, we'll jump into our fun time and and then close out for today. So here we go. Let's start off with our hobby progress. I'll just jump right into mine. I painted an Imperial Knight to match my Sisters of Battle. Both magnetized all the different weapon options and did a tiny conversion because I'm not really a conversion guy, but I put a little...
Oh, we all know you're not.
Yeah,
Yeah, no one's accused you of that.
What variant did you go for on the Knight?
it's fully magnetized. You can do any option.
Nice. But it's like standard Games Workshop kit, not a Forge World one?
That's correct.
Nice.
That's correct.
I love that kit.
And I tossed the little Laud Hailer conversion bit on there just to show that it was to match my sisters.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, why don't you tell us what you did?
So last time I mentioned how I was working on some stuff for Astro. To get a lot of the Marines for that, I ended up getting the Burning of Prospero box, which means that I've had some Custodes hanging around. I put those guys together. I painted them up. I can't talk about how much I enjoy that kit. These models are huge. They look great. They've been in the fluff for so long that I've been like waiting to do them. And they're like some of those models that like look good with like only a little bit of work. Like they're metallic, so it's just all dry brushing. Though there was a guy on the Facebook.
Adam's shaking right now.
I know, he's freaking out. There was a guy on the 1 Hour a Night Facebook group who tried to convince me that I needed like an 8-step mixing metallic recipe, which was just like,
Oh, that was.
We had a great interaction about that.
oh man, ain't no one got time for that.
I told Paul I was going to pray for that man.
But yeah, I threw them on some secret weapon miniatures bases. Those things look really nice. I figure where this is going to be such a low count force that I'm doing, I can just kind of justify spending that money.
I don't believe you. It's
No?
not going to be a low count force. You're going to have a full-on 3K.
I'm really worried that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to keep it dialed back just so you get as many bodies on the field as you can.
Yeah,
1 year later, Paul has 6 grab tanks.
Yeah, I'm worried that might happen. But I'm also working on the shield captain for these guys after getting a look at the rules in the most recent Horse Heresy book. They're absolute monsters. So I just wanted to do a shield captain. I green stuff the hair because that wins me awards.
You love doing that.
I do, and it also I was able to make him look like David Lynch, so I call that a win.
Now, does a shield captain have rules in 40k as well?
Not that I am aware of, but you know, a guy with a cape never looks out of place in an Imperial
No, definitely not.
force.
No.
But yeah, that kit's really great. I would like a little bit more posability in there. They're like a lot of the more modern GW kits, they're getting a little bit mono pose. It does allow for more dynamic poses, I do believe.
Especially the way they cut them out of the printers these days, or whatever they do to design them on computer. They're fabulous. Like, the poses are amazing.
Yeah.
Especially with these starter boxes, too.
Yeah.
Like, they are very much monopose. I noticed that with the Dark Vengeance set.
Yeah.
And even the characters in Betrayal at Calth. There's no... Unless you really get in there with a hobby knife and some green stuff, you're not changing that pose.
No. But that being said, if I were a new player and I opened up this kit and I put it together the way they told me, I want something to look really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset about it. But so what have you been working on?
Well, I've kind of been busy with school starting back up again, so I haven't really done a lot. I got inspired last week, just reading some fluff, to dig out an ancient pewter fabulous bile.
What's pewter?
Exactly. So, I think I've had this model for 10, 15 years. I don't know where the arms are or the backpack is, but I decided I needed a Primus Medicae for the Emperor's Children. So I'm converting up, and I basically got him down now as a converted up fabulous bile model. He's going to be a Primus Medicae and apothecary for my Emperor's Children.
That's cool.
Yeah, just got a cool apothecary backpack, the Narthecium arm, and then this wickedly curved saber, rusty surgical tool for a knife. That's going to be really neat. Just something fun that I'm working on. Nothing too fancy or important, but I hope he looks good.
What would be really cool is if they gave you a sweet new resin, fully decked out, fabulous bile model.
Oh, they got it. With all the stuff coming out in 30K and the importance that fabulous bile has in the fluff, I'm surprised they haven't already.
Yeah.
Well,
so hopefully in the future.
Honestly, I think models like him, they're going to sort of wait till they get to the fireworks factory that is Terra. He comes to the forefront after the heresy in a really big way.
Yeah, in the Civil Wars and the Eye of Terror and all that fun stuff. Yeah, but you got Saul Tarvitz, who's awful. I just want another special character.
Yeah.
I've only got one.
I got my two.
And nobody likes him. Nobody likes Eidolon.
Awesome. Hey, so let's jump into games played. And so this one is actually kind of a combined effort. So we're all involved in this. We did a 30K campaign. It was 5 games long. We're going to release it on the channel, so stay tuned for that.
No spoilers, guys.
Yeah, we're going to try our best not to reveal the results of who won the campaign or who won each game, but we're going to kind of talk about some of our highlights, our lessons learned, and just how the campaign kind of went overall. So Nick, you were kind of the writer of the campaign rules. Why don't you kind of tell us what inspired you and how you threw it together?
Well, Paul and I have been playing 30K. I think we were the 2 people who started doing it in our club.
Yeah.
And together last year with Adam as well, and a bunch of our club members, we built an awesome Zone Mortalis table. It was a lot of fun. It was a joint effort, and it really just inspired me to work on a campaign. Life and stuff got in the way, and then I was watching some narrative campaigns online, and I wanted to do one. So talked to Paul. Paul right now has a lot of free time.
He's fun employed.
Hey, guys.
I had a week off.
Super fun employed.
I had a week off between semesters, so instead of doing something productive with my time, I said, "Hey, Paul, do you want to do a campaign that's a week long?" And he said,
"I would love to.
Yeah.
You've made me the happiest man in the world."
So I wrote the campaign up, tried to do a little bit of a mix between a competitive and a narrative mix, because narrative can get a little frustrating when you're dealing with power gamers like Paul. It doesn't really like having his stuff nerfed.
All right, listen, there's one battle report where I am kind of salty. I'll admit. I look bad in that one. I apologize.
It's okay. So yeah, we did a 5-game campaign. And just, I think I just randomly messaged Adam and was like, "Hey, Paul and I are doing this 5-game campaign." And even though Adam has a wonderful baby girl, who that's what's screaming in the background sometimes, you can hear.
Squealing. We don't scream.
Said, "Sure, I got nothing else better to do." And filmed our games.
Yeah, I basically sit around and paint models all day. That's my job. And so when it's time to film games or do something hobby related, I have all the time to do whatever I want. And I was between big commissions, so I said, why not? I had just a couple small projects, so easy to take some time to do it.
Yeah, so we took 3 days. We did about 2 games a day. Started lower point costs, and we did a Zone Mortalis mission. For anyone who doesn't know Zone Mortalis, it's basically very, very close quarters combat on a 4x4 with walls. So it's to represent the inside of a ship or the inside of an underground bunker. Now to give it a more narrative feel, we had named characters.
That you guys named yourselves.
Right. We didn't take any special characters.
Yeah. So I ran, you heard him last episode, Amon Vol. He's a Terran-born Imperial Fist who was running with a Paragon Blade and an Iron Halo. And
The ironiest.
the most
So
iron...
much iron in this head.
Oh, man. That entire campaign... I like, how many 4-ups did I pass?
We'll get to that. We'll get to the ridiculousness that is your Praetor. So he was running Amon Vol. As you heard in our fun story time last episode, that was the fluff that Paul wrote for the campaign. You'll be hearing more of that as the weeks go on. And I ran a Lord Commander Caius, who was just a evil genius who likes to snort ground up Space Marine gene seed, because that's what the Emperor's Children does. Don't ask questions.
Parody.
Adam's looking at me very strange right
We're
now.
disabling the YouTube comments on this. No, kidding.
Okay.
The YouTube comments on podcast?
We'll throw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's filming us right now.
Oh, no.
So to build this campaign, I grabbed a lot of different elements from the Horus Heresy books. There's 7 books in total now, and they're all fantastic. Even though Horus Heresy started in 5th edition, a lot of the more narrative aspects towards building a campaign really still work, especially with Horus Heresy, because one of the reasons I know Paul and myself really, really like it is you can set out to build a fluffy army, basically pick what your legion would run,
Yeah.
and it performs well on the table.
Yeah, they did a really good job of making sure there is a lot of crunch in the fluff, to use the parlance of the internet. You take a very lore-heavy army, you get a good army for your legion.
Yeah, and the special rules for each legion really speaks to that. So Paul was running a very, very infantry-based, mechanized list, a really good balance of shooting and armor. And I was running some crazy, screaming, noise-shooting Emperor's Children. So it was a great fight. But to make it a little bit more narrative and to give it a little continuity between games, we decided to do consequences, redemptions, and advancements. So essentially, consequences is if your named hero is removed as a casualty, you roll on a table. And this was everything from all enemy characters have preferred enemy this character against this character, to blinded, which is may only make snapshots beyond 6 inches of range. Just some fluffy things to give your guy a little bit of a handicap, but not take him out of the fight completely. One of our guys got handicapped way more than the other. My guy kept coming back for more, though. He loved it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the worst thing about the the Emperor's Children. You can hurt them all you want, but they kind of like it.
Yeah.
So, and you know what my favorite part of it was for doing this is I'm excited to see Amon Vol show up again and again and again. Because how excited are you about this guy?
Oh, man. I'm stuttering. I'm so excited. You know how when you were first playing this game and you would have a character just do something ridiculous and that kind of endeared you to that model. Now this guy is one of my favorite in my collection just because he
may disappear one day.
Don't. No, he just...
Oh, I know.
And then bits of him will just show up on Paul's doorstep.
No,
just
on bases of my guys.
Oh,
there you go.
You're a disgusting man.
But Paul did a fantastic job of building this. What your Praetor, what models did you use to put him together?
Oh man, this was a bunch of glue in a bits box situation. The legs came from Spellcrow, which is a third-party bits place. They do those really tightly scrolled details, on knee pads and kind of similar to the Cybor stuff. Then the body was from the Imperial Fist upgrade sprues. Not the sprues, but the Forge World.
Yeah.
So it has the insignia of being a Terran and having served in the Unification Wars. The head was Blood Angel upgrade from Forge World. So it was just... and then the sword, which you became very acquainted with over the time of the campaign, is from the Assault on Black Reach 5th edition starter box cap.
Really?
Yeah.
You went to plastic for that.
I went to
and that
plastic.
sword is just, well, as you say, it's simple done well. It's a very simple power sword, but
it's it's way broader than most of the other ranges.
Yeah, that's
it's
why
a really
different.
It's a fat sword.
yeah, it's a big old fat sword.
It's almost
Without
as if it was the paragon of swords.
Yeah, it's a paragon blade, you might say.
Yeah.
But it's not like, Cloud Strife oversized. He is like a...
Sorry, I don't understand that reference.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, man.
Nerds.
I didn't even play Final Fantasy, and I actually got that reference.
Yeah, you usually don't get anything. You're basically our Captain America.
For those of you who don't know and aren't a part of our in the background chats on Facebook, that statement is accurate.
Yeah.
It's definitely accurate. So, back to the campaign mechanics. It's okay, you can interrupt me anytime, Paul.
Okay.
So once you suffered a consequence, you had to redeem yourself through an act of valor the next game. So instead of just being like, oh, you're down a wound for a game, you had to do something heroic to get it back. So we had things like this hero is redeemed if he kills more models in close combat than any other enemy hero, friendly or enemy, to if they cause the enemy warlord to be removed from play, and a whole bunch of different stuff in between. I do think I redeemed myself once,
Yeah.
but I don't think it mattered.
No, because I kept maiming you.
Yeah. So it is funny. In the course of the campaign, we've done all 5 games now. We're trying not to do spoiler alerts, but my Praetor basically died every single game.
Mine died once.
Against his Praetor.
In a challenge.
In a challenge, which is funny because every game, I have a very fast mobile army, and I was the one who charged you every single game. And I still lost every single combat. I think I saw Paul make probably 14 to 16 4-up saves against my Paragon Blade.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is, too, is this wasn't just Praetor on Praetor. This is Praetor with higher initiative.
Yes, it's an Emperor's Children Praetor, so he's initiative... He ended up being like initiative 8.
Yeah, because he got one of the bonuses that we were talking about. So he was initiative 8 in challenges. He was running around with his goon squad.
Yeah.
And always charging, so always having one more attack that first round.
No, he always had his dudes with the shields.
Yeah, I would put him in the
always at
breach.
least one guy.
Yeah, so I'm an immovable object. Nick's army is an unstoppable force.
Apparently you can stop it. But it was a lot of fun. That was the kind of the character side of it, just to give our unnamed, well, we named them characters, a little bit of flavor. We also added a fun element where after each game we can nominate a unit that survived the game and roll on a random table. I ended up having Cacophony. For anyone who doesn't know what those are, they're basically the precursor to 40k Noise Marines. They have a terrible reputation in our gaming group. They're way overblown.
They're so good.
They're so good.
They're how Nick got his nickname.
It's true. That and frag cannons.
There you go.
I think it was frag cannons. So I ended up with Sniper Cacophony,
Yeah.
which I know put the hurt on Paul, and I think you got some good +1 weapon skill Hammernators.
Yeah.
And some cool combos came out of this.
I kept getting on Terminators, but they, Terminators never last a full game. Like, that is not why you have Terminators. So they would end up losing the bonus the next game. But I did end up with a squad of Plasma Vets that had counterattack, which came in really handy in a really cool way.
It did, yeah. I think it was.
And what made the Plasma guys better was tell them about the Overwatch one.
Yeah, so there's a reward in one of the Horus Heresy books, which allows a character to do that thing in Zone Mortalis where if they're being charged, you make an initiative check, and then they can fire their Overwatch at full ballistic skill.
The whole unit, not
the
just
whole
the character. Yeah.
Reaction fire.
Right.
So Paul, being a power gamer,
I stuck him in a squad of Plasma support Marines, which is hilarious to me.
Now, one game, it unfortunately didn't work out, but another game, it was just amazing.
he murdered a Terminator squad.
Yeah, it was just a full hot blue wall of death, and I loved every second. I think I am becoming a power gamer.
Yeah.
What has happened?
You got your hands on the Fire Raptor, and the power has just driven you
Let it
mad.
flow. Let it flow through you.
So, as you'll see in the videos that Adam was kind enough to show up and film and feed us pizza and, laugh at our terrible jokes, progress. We started off as a Zone Mortalis one. Each game had a very narrative element to it. So the first one was the Emperor's Children were destroying sensor arrays on a lunar early warning base, and each mission would then both influence the next one in terms of if the defender won, if the attacker won, or if it was a tie, as well as give bonuses to the winner and loser from the previous game.
And like when we first started out with this, I kind of thought that I didn't think that they were balanced until I got in there and started playing, and then I could really see what Nick was doing, and the way that he had it outlined really made sense. It, at my first glance, it didn't, but that's on me.
Yeah.
I will totally say that this campaign really taught me how hard it is to get that balance right, and like the amount of work that you did on that was like real cool.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be easy for either player. Obviously, as one to make it, it's narrative, right? War is never symmetrical.
No.
If you're waging a symmetrical war, you're doing something wrong.
You're bad at it.
You're bad at it. So as the attacker or the defender kept winning games, they were supposed to get more and more bonuses and make it more and more difficult for the other person to win. Not impossible by any means, but just more difficult. But this led to some very, very cool missions. I think the favorite mission that we played out of this campaign was the Noose mission.
Yeah.
That one was basically, I had surrounded Paul's forces, and his only goal was to get units within 12 inches of a point he nominated on my table edge. And it was just different because Paul's army doesn't like to move. And my army's fast, and it was just, there wasn't any real objective holding. It wasn't about killing enemy units. It was about really thinking ahead about how to get your units off the table.
Yeah, and I have to say that was the least gamey of them. It did feel like the most narrative one that we did. And I think that was, like I was saying that day, that might have been the most fun I've had playing a game of like 30K ever.
And it came down to, it literally came down to inches and cubes.
Inches and cubes.
It really did.
So many cubes.
So we won't say what happened, but...
It was tight, and it was good. We also had objectives that were buildings that you had to blow up. We had one great one where Paul had attached intelligence officers to some of his units that I was tasked with hunting down and killing, whereas he was trying to protect them.
Yeah.
And one of them ran off the board because they were scared.
Yeah, first turn, they ran away. One did. So
And there goes 3 objective points.
yeah, and you're like, oh man, I'm starting at a deficit already.
Yeah. Hey, why don't we just talk about maybe one or two of our favorite moments, and then we'll wrap up this section and move on to our main topic. But my favorite moment, it wasn't necessarily something that happened on the table, but it was actually just going through the campaign in general. Got me really excited to keep painting my Luna Wolves, to maybe start planning out more campaigns in the future. And we'll see how it works with the 8th edition coming out.
Watching 2 people play with Fire Raptors made you want to get your own Fire Raptor.
What do you got in on that painting table?
That's right. And so you guys will see what my hobby progress is in the next episode, because no spoilers, guys, no spoilers.
It starts with an F and rhymes with
Meyer Praptor?
my favorite moment, honestly, a little bit of a spoiler alert. I think my Praetor just died every single time.
And that was your favorite?
It was hilarious. And it's so Emperor's Children-y, right? No, I'm going to kill this guy. I'm better than him. I could have sent
prideful.
I could have sent my Praetor against soft targets and just cleaned up half the board with him and his squad. But I was like, no, that guy's dead.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Praetor would die, and then my Praetor would die, his Praetor would live, and then my goons would charge in and kill his Praetor.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, his goons are a squad of Palatine blades, so they're
not good. They're highly elite warriors.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
Not exactly goons, but we call them goons.
Yeah, well, any attached character and his usual band of buddies,
especially when they're bad guys.
Yeah, you just call them goons.
It kind of reminds me of the moment where Lucius, the Eternal, which I don't think he has that name yet, but he fights Garvia Loken in the Horus Heresy novels. I forget which book. And Loken just owns him the first time.
Yeah.
He just lays him out.
He just, in the middle of a sword duel, I think he just punches him in the nose.
Yeah. Well, like, the guy's trying to sword at you.
Yeah.
Like, he's a better swordsman, but he's not a better punch to the face taker man. Like,
That's
That's
a beautiful way to put it.
yeah, I know.
that
Pugilism
is-
is
yeah.
the sweet science. I think my favorite moment is basically the exact same thing. There was a game that Eminval, like, again, slayed the Praetor in open combat challenges, and then he received this charge from the Goon Squad, led by a chaplain, and in that combat, he ends up, I think, instant deathing the chaplain.
You did,
Oh, yeah.
you did one instant death wound. I failed my invulnerable save. You cut off his head and just got 10 spears into you and died.
Yeah, but it was like it was Leonidas in the 300. Like,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was just pierced and raised. It's not the last you'll see of Amon Vol. He's now my go-to generic Praetor. But yeah, I think that was the cool moment. I have a picture. We'll post it online. We have that ability. We confirmed. So yeah, like it's his last stand, and I just thought that was the most cinematic moment of the entire campaign.
Yeah, it was also really exciting. I think we did a different table for every single mission,
Yeah,
and we showed off, I think, all of the different terrain and tables that we have at the club
yeah,
to,
that was
to play on. So each table was different. Each table had a different scenario, really different feel to it, and the whole thing was just a lot of fun and a great way to spend a really rainy week inside.
yeah.
Sweet. So why don't we go on to the main topic? And so right before we jump into it, here's a quick word from our sponsors. These are people who love the hobby and want to enhance your gaming experience by either offering a product or a service. Check it out.
Hello. Do you like having fun more than winning games?
No, nobody likes that.
But I'm a better painter than I am a player.
Then Hogtown 40K is the club for you. This club is for people to meet and share ideas and promote all aspects of Warhammer 40K. We host hobby events, from building and painting evenings, low-pressure tournaments, and random pub nights. Look us up on Facebook, Hogtown 40K.
We're obnoxious about being bad at Warhammer.
Battle Brothers Studios, a commission painting service passionate about making your miniatures and your gaming table look great. Our philosophy at Battle Brothers is this: your army is our army. Every model will be something you can be proud to show off. Send us a message on facebook.com/BattleBrothersStudios for a free quote and make that dream project come to life. We also have something special planned for the release of 8th edition of 40K. Right now, get 20% off if you commission us to paint an 8th edition starter set, or get a 10% off Army Bundle bonus for painting up your new 8th edition 40K Army. Inquire with us on Facebook for full details. So this time, the GW community has been continuing to release awesome content on 8th edition, and so let's cover the psychic phase, the morale, how that works, large models, infantry, and characters. So Nick, why don't you start by describing the psychic phase, and then we'll just chat about our thoughts about it.
You can't see it right now, but I'm doing wiggly fingers at Adam and Paul.
Yeah, that's for Tristan right there.
That is for Tristan right there. What are your feelings on Magnus in 30K? Brief aside.
Oh my god. Oh god. Everyone. Oh god. No, I can't even do it. I can't. That'll be an entire pod. That'll be a fun times. Is my extended one breath rant on Magnus.
We'll have a special treat for you in one episode. We'll get Paul really riled up, maybe liquored up, and have him go on a rant about Magnus in 30K. But essentially, there's going to be some big changes to Psychic. So from what I understand, a lot of the base stats are still there. So you still have Psychic Mastery levels, and that determines the amount of powers you're allowed to generate. And even then, we don't really know about how power generation works. Is it going to be the same tables? Are we going to see new Psychic powers? Are we going to see new Psychic power disciplines? Because right now we're about, I think, 6 or 7 from the main rule book.
Mm-hmm.
one for each of the gods for Chaos Space Marines, one for each of the gods for Chaos Demons,
Yep.
4
There's 4 Space Marine ones.
which have the same powers but different names for Chaos as well. So we got a lot of different psychic tables to roll. Oh, and Eldar.
Yeah.
And Dark Angels and Blood Angels.
Yes.
There's a lot of psychic powers going on around right now. So it'll be interesting to see how they really bring that together, if it's going to be more consolidated or if it's going to be more unit specific.
I think that's what's going to happen. I
hope-
think they're going to do away with all the charts. There's Blakely screaming in the background, like we
Yeah.
said.
She's excited for 8th edition.
Yeah, she's so into psychic powers right now.
that's
She's in that phase.
So throwing away the charts and just giving certain psychers their unique powers.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Like, it never made sense to me why, like, Mephiston had the same powers as, like, a stock librarian. Like,
Yeah,
he's supposed
it
to,
makes sense, yeah.
you know, be...
Why Aramen, the person who could see the future, didn't understand definition at all.
yeah, who didn't get to pick his powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, I think, again, I keep saying this is really characterful stuff, which just makes me super, super happy.
Yeah.
And hopefully now everybody's not tooling their psychers to just always get invisibility.
Yeah. I think I'm the only one here who's guilty of doing that.
Yeah, you
I went through a phase.
You guys couldn't see or feel, but the temperature in this room dropped about 5 degrees.
That's because I had psychic powers. Also, we need ice-based psychic powers. If we've got fire-based psychic powers, we need ice-based psychic powers. Just saying. So essentially, from what I understand, a psyker can cast as many spells as they have mastery levels, which I think is similar to 6th edition and what the FAQ came out in 7th edition. You've got 1 mastery level, you're casting 1 spell a turn, 2, 3, 4. Are there any 5s?
It's actually every psyker can cast every spell that they have.
Right, but they can only... Oh, they can cast every spell that they have.
Yes.
But if they can only generate the amount of spells that they have...
Well, that's the thing. I
levels.
don't even think they're just spell generation. Like, it's just
Okay.
you have... These are your assigned spells. And then we'll see this later. Every psyker has smite as well. So this is one on top.
Oh, every psyker does have smite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Standard. Interesting. Okay.
Now, the thing that I'm really liking about this is you're not going to have a bunch of lesser psychers acting as batteries for your more powerful psyker.
Right. So we'll get into that for warp charge value. So instead of, having a warp charge pool like Paul was talking about, essentially we'll use smite as the example here. So smite is now warp charge 5. I believe it was warp charge 1 before, but how warp charges work is now different. Essentially, you're just rolling 2d6, and you have to beat the warp charge value. Is it match or beat, or just beat?
That's a great thing. We can clarify in the thing, but
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
You can fix that in post.
fix it in post.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure if you fail, there's going to be some sort of perils. I hope it's punishing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember some of the fantasy stuff when magic went wrong. It went bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad.
I want to see a guy barf his brain into his hands.
I want to see a guy explode half a battle line. But maybe it'll depend on how powerful the spell was they were trying to cast.
Yeah.
So because Smite is warp charge 5, on 2d6 you have to roll over 5, and with the average result of 2 dice being rolled together being 7, something like 20-30% of the time, not going to be difficult to get off.
No.
I'm hoping invisibility is like 10.
We don't know that we're
Or
going
that
to
there
have
just is
invisibility.
no invisibility. That's
Yeah.
right.
So the other interesting thing that showed up in this preview is mortal wounds. So Smite is warp charge 5, 8, and D3 mortal wounds. There's no strength value, there's no AP value. Mortal wounds, from what we were able to understand, mortal wounds is just wounds with no saves of any kinds allowed. So they're automatically wounding you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
That's
It
right.
does specify invulnerable saves, and it does specify armor saves. So it will be interesting to see if things like feel no pain, that would be the only thing that
Yeah.
could possibly stop that would show up. The other thing as well, I missed this, is that if you did roll a 10 or more on your warp charge psychic test, then it's D6 mortal wounds instead of D3 mortal wounds. So it looks like we're going to have a lot of powers that have multiple power levels.
And I like this because it kind of represents tapping on your upper limit of your ability.
Yeah.
So
And it's not a pick. It's not like, oh, I have to go for the level 5 one or
Yeah.
the level 10 one.
Yeah.
It just, I'm going for smite, and as I'm channeling the war, my brain explodes, and I just hit you really hard with it.
Like, I'm just picturing that scene in, like, District 9 where he fires the gun for the first time and the dude just evaporates into, like, a panoply of gore and he's just shocked.
Men in Black, where he gets the little tiny little pistol.
The
Yeah.
noisy cricket.
That's it.
Ooh, that's a throwback to a throwback.
And panoply is today's word for the day.
Panoply.
What does it mean?
It's sort of like a fix it and post.
So that's basically all we know about the psychic phase now. Like Adam said earlier, I think we're going to see a lot of really unique psychic powers come to the fore, which is going to be quite awesome. It'll be a lot more unique, a lot more characterful, and it'll really give who's ever writing the rules the opportunity to make psychic powers that really mesh with the unit, as opposed to like, oh, this unit of tactical marines has smash. And you're like, how does that help me?
Yeah.
But with a more, intuitive design, it's just going to be, you're going to see a lot more synergy. That's the one. Synergy between psychic powers and the units that use them. So we're going to move on to morale now.
Awesome. All right. So this is a big change. Everything is different with morale. We've seen the Space Marine leadership, and it is lower than it used to be. And so that made everyone go, I wonder what's up with that. And then they released the article on morale, and it is definitely a game changer. So let me explain the basic mechanic, and obviously there will be some differences in unit-specific rules that come out based on morale, but this is essentially how it works. If you ever suffer any casualties, now this is combat-specific, you roll a d6, okay, and you add the number of models that were slain, not wounds that you did. And you ask yourself, well, is the result on the dice here plus that modifier, is it greater than my leadership? If the answer is yes, that many models die.
That's huge.
So pinning is gone. It's just being replaced by your guys exploding.
Yep. Don't love that.
Nobody likes getting pinned, though.
No.
But nobody likes getting their guys exploded.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's and this is the crazy thing, it's not just you suffer that many more wounds, which is how it used to be like for undead. They would just crumble,
Yeah.
and you take that many wounds and your guys die, or demons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's models die. So multiple wounded.
Oh, yeah.
Units.
It's models, not... Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's nuts. Imagine, like, watching an entire unit of, like, knob bikers just, like, boop, 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 gone.
Or wraiths. Who knows what Fearless is going to be, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a sky is falling sort of change, because I think this edition, we're going to be pulling models off the table like crazy. Like, stuff is going to die, and it is going to die badly.
Well, that's another interesting point that has also been released. I think it was in one of these articles as well. But they were saying that like a 2,000 point game is only going to take about 2 hours to play. So,
Yeah.
so that's going to be
It's
not
about the same.
No. A 2,000 point game now. No, a tournament for 1,500 points is a 2 hour time limit at a tournament.
Interesting.
So
All right.
we're talking faster gameplay and probably a very, very high dead model pile
Yeah.
a couple turns in.
And,
Love
like,
it.
if that's happening on both sides, I don't care. Like, I want things to die.
That's right. That's why we're playing this game. Is to put all our models on the board and then take them all off.
Like,
again.
I didn't give my guys, like, cuddle throwers and, like, hug guns.
Those sound terrifying.
Right?
Like, those sound absolutely terrifying. They sound like something that would be in the game.
Yeah, but, like, I'm fine with this change. It is a little bit more brutal. But, it's the Grimdark rule now.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see how this interacts with things like fearless, stubborn, and they shall know no fear.
Yeah.
Because we have seen that a nation and they shall know no fear
Yeah.
is still a rule.
It is.
What does it do?
I don't know.
Who has it?
We don't know. Space Marines?
Maybe. Do they know fear? Is
Great
fear-
question. Actually, we haven't seen their data sheet. We've only seen the data sheet for the...
Primary.
We will not speak of them.
I'm going to buy so many.
You're fine.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm like.
For you guys out there, we're going to get to this later as well, but the new Marines data sheet was just released today, so we're still a little giddy over looking at that. We're going to look at that more in depth later.
Cool. Let's wrap up morale. Here's some more thoughts on my part. With the current edition, I have big issues when my sisters got popped out of a tank. Take a morale check, take a pinning check, then lose 25% casualties. Oh, now you're going to run away. Leadership check, leadership check, leadership check, leadership check. Come on now, let's cut that out. Now it's just at the end of the turn, you take all of your morale checks for any units that suffered wounds. And there's no running away, there's no regrouping, it's just you die. And every unit takes one of them a turn.
I will offering a dissenting opinion.
Nick loves it because he likes popping tanks.
Yeah. I like popping tanks, and I do understand that it's going to make the game quicker and more enjoyable. It's just my army was designed around forcing pinning and leadership checks on people. I like the shock and awe terror aspect of.
You played blue when you played Magic, didn't you?
I have never picked up a Magic card besides what I found on the floor.
Get the heck out.
No, never played. You're the nerds here, guys. I just play Warhammer.
This is a man wearing those shorts.
All right, last thing. There will be some units that other models can share their leadership, and then some units that modify other people's leadership as well. So we do know that. But why don't we move on to the different types of units that they're going to be, specifically large models, infantry, and characters. Paul, take it from here.
So, again, lots of big changes. Tanks have wounds, just like in the real world. I like this mechanic.
Can they be healed by doctors?
Yes. I believe a mechanic's called a doctor in some places. No, but what I'm saying is I like this change a lot. The idea of having one way to hurt stuff, that's cool. It will speed up. Armor never really felt well represented to me. Maybe you guys would disagree with that.
I agree with you.
Yeah, there was a weird balance between... I remember playing a game back in 4th or 5th edition where a Venerable Dreadnought took something like 26 to 30 las cannons in the face and was just like, I'm fine.
Right, and like that...
And then hull points made them... No, you're gone.
Yeah.
You're, a grab gun hit you, you're useless.
Yeah, or like a Necron squad just like plinked a Land Raider to death with a couple of lucky sixes. I hope that doesn't go away. That is still one of my favorite things.
Says the Necron.
I think sixes, we'll get to my ideas for Goss later.
Yeah. Gauss.
Goss.
No, Gauss.
Goss.
Rhymes with house.
It's named after somebody.
Yeah, Mr. Gauss.
And the Necrons are from Sweden? Okay.
All right, stop touching. Stop touching each other.
Touch it. What? So tanks having wounds, that's a big thing. Well, all vehicles.
And toughness, too.
And toughness.
Yeah.
So I think now your dreadnoughts are going to feel on the board more tactile. They're going to feel more like they do in the fluff. They're going to feel more, less fragile. Because I think we've all seen a dreadnought get one-shotted, and it breaks your heart.
That's why nobody plays them.
We've all seen a Land Raider get one-shotted, but now the way we're going to do these things, as they lose wounds, their combat effectiveness is affected.
Yeah, so we have one example so far, and it's absolutely awesome for what it is. So it's for a Morkanaut, which were terrible in 7th edition.
I've never seen one on a table.
I saw Jay, one of our friends, use it once, and turn one and got one-shotted by a las cannon across the board, blew up. They were so terrible, I actually gave mine away for free, unbuilt in a box, because I just couldn't bring myself to build it. But now I'm regretting it. So just as an example of what vehicles are going to look like. So a Morkanaut's going to hit on a 5+. They're orcs.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to have lots of shots, but they're
Yeah.
hitting on a 5+. Strength 8, toughness 8, 18 wounds.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is the thing. They're going to have huge amounts of wounds.
Leadership 7, because now vehicles have leadership too, which is going to be interesting for those morale things as well. Mm-hmm. And a 3-up save. Vehicles have saves now, so you still have that armor. And as we talked about with the save modifiers in the shooting phase, it's going to have a huge impact on vehicles. Suddenly it makes sense that a las cannon can ignore a vehicle's armor.
Yeah.
Because that kind of makes sense. Whether it does any damage is another question, but it should ignore the armor.
Well, it's also, that gives you like a fine balance between like heavy weapons doing D6 wounds now this makes sense because if like an Imperial Knight has 20 wounds or more,
Yeah.
It's the current word on the street is more than 20 wounds.
Yeah,
Which
if a
is-
Gorkanaut has 18, I'm thinking maybe 25 for a knight.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it's like one last cannon shot isn't just like gonna golden gun this thing. You're that's for you nerds. It makes sense that you're just gonna be blowing chunks off, or like maybe you roll that 6 and you're really wounding this thing,
Yeah.
but you're not just taking it right off.
That's right. And neither would a giant robot like that really blow up in one hit. I mean, they generally design them pretty safe, so you don't hit the reactor in one shot unless
They're
it's a
orcs.
Death Star.
Adams, they're orcs.
Yeah.
They're not designing anything safe.
They're not designing anything.
They're not. So as we were talking about before with scaling damage effects. So for Morkanaut, the example is if a Morkanaut has more than 10 wounds left, it can move 8 inches, hits on a 3+, and has 4 attacks. If it has between 5 and 9 wounds, it moves 6 inches, hits on a 4, and does 3 attacks. And if it's got 1 to 4 wounds left, it only moves 4 inches, hits on a 5, and only does 2 attacks.
So there you go. It gets slower. It gets lumberier.
That's a word, yeah.
Yeah. More ponderous in
That's
its
it.
gait.
And this is specific to the Gorkanaut. So we were talking a little bit before. There's going to be some fantastic opportunities here. I noticed one thing in Age of Sigmar is there's one unit that actually gets more powerful the more wounds it takes.
Don't.
Yeah, so that like
Don't.
no, that's cool. Like that makes sense for like your bloodthirsters or your murder fangs. Like, you poke the bear gets angry.
Wolf.
So, wolf. Ice wolf. But it's gonna be good for all your like blood armies.
Yeah. It will involve... Well, I don't think so. I've heard some people complain that it will involve a little bit more bookkeeping, but no more than, oh my god, this is stunned, this weapon's destroyed, it's immobilized, how many hull points do I have left?
Yeah, and that chart is going to be on the data sheet.
Right.
Like, honestly, what we've seen of data sheets, they are like an editor's dream, just to have everything like right
Don't
there.
spoil too much.
Shh, shh, shh.
That's coming next episode.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on large models?
No, I think that's kind of cool. They did drop the fact that like most, like the biggest infantry model that you're going to see is like 9 wounds. Like beyond that, there's different characteristics. Did I make that up?
I don't know.
I think you made that up.
I think what I know
What,
so
what
far
do you
is
mean by...
They used Rabute Gilliman as
he has
like...
9 wounds.
He's
Yeah,
a monstrous creature, though.
Well, there's...
If monstrous creatures exist.
Well, this is the thing. They're saying that there's no more special rules for super heavy or gargantuan.
Right.
things. So I like that change. Like, it didn't make sense when there was stuff that didn't quite meet the requirement of super heavy, like the poor old Gorkanaut.
Or the Morkanaut.
Wait, which one were we talking about?
The one that hits you in the back of the head.
Oh, so
Not the
the
one that punches you in the face.
the brutal and cunning one, or the cunning and brutal one?
The cunning and brutal one, obviously.
Wait, what did I say?
You said the brutal and cunning one.
Wait, no, that's what you said.
They're the same.
You guys are silly. Paul, talk to us about infantry.
So, infantry, we mentioned last episode.
We are playing as we do this.
Yeah. Split fire for infantry units. Again, tactical squads are tactical now.
This is beautiful.
Not even just split fire, more than split fire.
Yeah, like just put your shots where you need them. That makes sense. The thing that I'm really looking forward to, and I've seen it be discussed in a controversial way on the old internets, is that infantry now have a chance to hurt everything. And I think Adam knows more about the multiplication table that is the new wound chart.
So it's not that complicated.
No, it's not complicated at all.
No.
All right, it's just going to be tough for all of us to remember because we are so ingrained with the existing to wound chart that we're just going to have to get used to it.
I've forgotten it already.
The existing one?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm done with 7.
Yeah. Done.
This thing that I've known for 15 years, I've already
I can
forgotten.
only fit so much in this head.
There you go. All right, so I'll just tell you how it works and we can have some chats about our thoughts because there's some really good things about this and there's some really... I have just one interesting thing to say about it. So first off, you ask yourself some qualifying questions. Is the strength of my gun or my fist or whatever, is it half of the model's toughness? If it is, you hit on a 6. Is it just less? Then you hit on a 5. So not necessarily half, but just less.
Wound, right?
Wounds. Not hits. Wounds. We've already hit. Now we're
Yes.
no,
To wound.
yeah.
5 to wound. Sorry.
Right.
If the strength is equal, then it is a 4+. That's normal. We should all get that.
Mm-hmm.
If the strength is more, simply, it could be 1 higher, it could be 3 higher. We don't know. If it's just more, then you wound on a 3. And if the strength is double, then you wound on a 2+.
I like it.
I like it too.
I understand it right now.
Yeah. It's very simple. I think one of the things that this is giving away, along with the multiple wounds, is I think we might see instant death gone.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think doubling things out, toughness versus strength, I think that's gone.
That's right, because it's all going to be simplified with damage, like we talked about.
Yeah. So, like, what do you guys... Eternal Warrior, like, how are you going to represent things that used to have that? I know it's too early.
Lots of wounds.
Lots of wounds, or may only take 1 wound from a multiple. Who knows?
Good idea, yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Or, like, you get your saves versus mortal wounds. Like, nuts.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things this does bring up, and as Paul was saying, that has got the internet's angry, and it's so difficult to get the internet angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's strange that this came up.
They're usually such a reasonable group of people, the internet.
Is things like las guns being able to hurt an Imperial Knight or a Gorkonon. Now, first of all, you need to hit it.
Yep.
Then you need to wound it on 6s. And remember, vehicles now have saves.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to see a vehicle with lower than a 3 up.
Yeah.
Maybe a 4 with like
Skimmers.
a skimmer or an orc truck. But I mean, like you try, like in the current edition, you try firing 50 las guns at a squad of Nurgle bikers with 6 up toughness and a 3 up armor save. Wounds don't go through.
That's right.
And if 1 or 2 goes through,
that guy deserved to die.
the laser bounced off of a mirror into the hatch, into the guy's eye, and he accidentally flushed the toilet and exploded. And that's why the wound went down in the vehicle.
So on one end of it, it seems silly because a las gun can hurt an Imperial Knight, but on the other end, all the saves have gotten a lot better. And so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the takeaway for this is vehicles now seem more resilient.
I agree.
Like,
Well, it will be interesting to see. I mean, we've all seen the lucky dice rolls and the unlucky dice rolls where you roll 5 1s on 5 wounds. If you hit an Imperial Knight with 5 las cannons and roll 5 6s,
good on you. You deserved it.
yeah. So it will be interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, Nick, you just want to take us through how characters are going to work now.
Big changes, boys. Big changes.
That's the theme of the day.
Gone are the days of 4 chapter masters and Iron Priest in the same squad on bikes.
In a drop pod.
In a drop pod. Riding Thunderwolf Cavalry. The bikes are riding Thunderwolf Cavalry.
So many bloodthirsters.
So many bloodthirsters. No, from what we've seen so far, characters cannot join units. They will have things like command bubbles. They will be buff. I think we're going to see more powerful characters, but because they're not in a squad, I don't think they're going to be.
Blakely loves it.
Blakely's
again,
into
just super excited. So I think because characters are going to be alone, we're going to see them at a higher power level, maybe with quite a bit more wounds and some more abilities. And I think we're going to see a big distinction between assault, shooty, and support type characters.
Yeah, like for me, the idea of support characters now just got that much better.
Yeah.
Because before you would have to attach them to a squad and they would only buff that squad. But then we started seeing like more banner type effects from characters.
Yeah, some Black Templar characters do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Angels ones, and a lot of the 30k special rules are 12 inches, you get this bonus.
Yeah, so like, just lean into that sort of direction with your characters, and I think they're all going to make a lot more sense. And I don't think that they're going to be like super easy to pick out too, because
yeah, exactly. So you can't shoot characters unless they're the closest unit, which kind of brings back one of those old, really good rules I miss from 4th and 5th edition, which was target priority.
Yeah.
You guys remember those? So that was a fun one. So
Was that a good rule?
was that a fun one? I enjoy it. It's in Battlefleet Gothic too. It makes a lot of sense to me that, like, hey, you know what? That unit of Khorne Berserkers is 5 feet away. No, we're going to shoot at that guy on the other side of the
Yeah,
board.
like it shows like these models having some kind of like battlefield acumen. Just like really getting like, all right, listen, we're probably going to get killed by those Khorne Berserkers, but y'all are armed with last cannons, so keep shooting at the armor, would you?
Yeah.
Like
That's it.
But it is interesting because one thing that was released today was the faction spotlight on Tau.
didn't get a chance.
We didn't get through that. So one of the things that they put in there, they snuck in at the very bottom, was the Tau drones. I don't know why I forgot that word. It was the Tau drone data sheet. And in particular, what does that even mean? We're getting tired. We've been filming for a while. We're not even filming. We're sniper drones. And sniper drones actually have a special rule saying they can target characters that don't necessarily have to be the closest model.
I love this. I put a bunch of old Space Marine scouts into like simple green to clean them up. They're coming out way sooner than I thought.
Sniper scouts are back.
There we go. Snipers in general.
Yeah.
So if that, and for now, all we know is that that's a drone unique rule. It may be a sniper rule given to any sniper, but we don't know that yet.
But just think about how cool it's going to be to pop like a Tau Ethereal in the dome with a sniper. Like,
And that's what snipers are for, right?
Exactly.
Or a commissar. Commissar running around with a sword and a plasma pistol.
Yeah, look at the rank on his arm. If it's if he's an important guy, take him out, right?
Yeah,
That's what a sniper's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm excited for that. Like it's just gonna feel really cinematic again.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of options. I know one thing that was brought up is there's a strong possibility of retinues coming back.
Yeah.
Right? Retinues were just, you can have 3 or 4 models that can only be a part of the HQ or character's unit.
I can see that for certain characters.
Yeah, well, like the whole chaplain with the command squad in the Space Marine Codex.
There
Like,
you go.
he needs.
Reclesium Command Squad.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Like, you
Can't
know,
leave it. They're
Right.
one unit.
can't leave, won't leave it.
Yeah, just lots of interesting stuff with
So
characters.
here's one thing that came out about this rule. There's one dude on the internet, the friendliest of places, like we've already said
I like
previously.
that we keep talking about the internet like it's a group.
No, it's one person.
It's one person.
Oh,
It's the collective essence of all people.
good.
This fellow posted to Games Workshop. Well, are you saying that one guardsman standing in front of Reboot Guilliman blocks me from shooting at Reboot Guilliman? And to which GW replied, and kudos to GW for just being such great sports about this stuff and actually giving feedback to people. They came back and said, well, if out of your whole army you have nothing that can kill this one guardsman, then what do you have that could possibly scare Reboot Guilliman? So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can make up these hypothetical straw men all day long, but eventually, like, you've got a bolter in the back somewhere. Just shoot the guardsman.
And because you can split fire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Exactly. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I like it. I'm really, really not sad to see the demise of Death Stars.
No, not at all.
If I gotta see one more Dark Angels character attached to a Space Wolf squad, I'll eat it.
Well, I told you about my game last episode with the 4 Zinch sorcerers inside the unit of Khorne Bloodhounds of the Khorne Lord on a bike.
Oh, you're wounding me in the fluff.
Yeah. Because that makes sense. Khorne sorcerers. Well, they have Zinch sorcerers.
All right, one more thing about characters. Nick, tell us about it.
I got nothing left.
No? All right, well,
No,
I'll tell you about it then.
We're all
Heroic intervention is going to be a thing. Characters can
yeah.
charge into a combat and attack if if a unit that's close to them gets charged, or if they're just in a combat.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Interesting,
the
yeah.
character can just jump in there. So
This is-
watch out, charging a unit where if you want to kill that guardsman to get to reboot, don't do it in combat because he's going to jump on you.
Yeah, he's gonna go pure Leroy Jenkins.
He is going to belly flop on top of you and take you down.
Yeah, but like, I like that. That that sort of gets around the not being able to attach them to squads.
Yeah.
So if they're like nearby, they're not just going to let their dudes get eaten, or their Dark Eldar, and they will.
Yeah.
There you go. There's be a special rule: cannot heroic intervention.
Oh, that would be awesome. Like, you know,
that would make a lot of sense and some great fluff. But
like,
again, every single unit is going to be completely different than all the others.
Yeah.
Sweet. So that wraps up today's episode. We've recapped Psychic, Morale, Large Models, Infantry, and Characters. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll continue to take this journey into 8th edition and explore all of the cool little bits and pieces that Games Workshop has been releasing. This is now time for Fun Time.
Fun time with Nick and Paul and also Adam. So this is another piece of fiction concerning our recently kicked off campaign. So this piece introduces the Emperor's children, Praetor Caius, who is Nick's go-to character. And this piece is titled Perfect and Complete. Commander Caius slumped in his command throne as he turned the wet jawbone over in his hand. It was wide and a great deal heavier than he had expected. In fact, he had never considered the weight of an Astarte jawbone divested of all its flesh. His pupils widened to near pure blackness, a predator's eyes. Caius felt golden and hyper-aware, like the Primarchs must feel. He drew a steady breath through his nose. The searing pain of his wounds returned to stark reality, but it was of no consequence. He rose from his seat. Decimus, allow me to stop you there. Even out of his armor, the commander stood eye to eye with the chaplain, and now his gaze was withering. He continued, Our mission was to disrupt and disperse the Imperial Fist fleet. Look around. We luxuriate in a graveyard of our own design. The commander slipped one arm around the chaplain and patted the breastplate of his armor. The carcass of this broken fleet is ours to feed upon at our leisure. He guided Decimus by the waist, and with a wide sweep of his arm, vial still dangling from the tube stuck therein, gestured with the jawbone still in his hand. Sounds of anguish faintly echoed towards them from down the corridor. And listen, dear Decimus, listen to those beautiful sounds. Our erstwhile brothers will serve us oh so well. But Lord, we must pursue. Decimus was sweating and stood awkwardly. He never knew what to do with his hands when they were outside of his beloved lightning claws. Our charge is only partial in its completion. The Phoenicians' glory, our glory. The chaplain hesitated for a moment and narrowed his eyes. Your glory is only half won. Their flagship has broken off, and we must finish the task at hand. Caius released Decimus and abruptly walked away. The chaplain still pressed his point, but Caius paid no mind. Such an appeal, such a naked appeal to his ambition was noxious. To think he could be manipulated so easily was an insult. While the worm's skill for oratory was becoming threadbare, his words held truth, and that is what irked the commander more than anything. His thoughts came fast and multifarious. He ran his hand down his patrician nose and across his perfect lip, feeling the smooth skin then give way to ragged scar tissue and bare white teeth. Pride stung him now. Give in to the worm or maintain his own stance? Pride stung him now. But what can one be more proud of than the glorious artistry of victory, thought Caius. Perfect, complete victory. And perhaps he could attach the chaplain to his own personal spear guard, where the fighting would be thickest. He'd surely rush headlong into the enemy, feeding himself to their hungry blades. Perfect and complete victory. This has been, and will remain, Paul Mr. Fist Fowler.
Point and click, Nick.
And Adam Truax, the truest axe to ever axe an axe.
And thanks for joining us, and check back again soon for some more 40k goodness. And remember, it's just inches and cubes.